This is the Hey Ed YouTube channel, and I am your host, moderator, and all-around nice guy, Edward Anderson. And there is a global financial Frankenstein that is scouring the world and country by country, destroying our financial system. Okay, now the central banks out there are out of control. Okay, they have no more control. They can't control anything anymore. The monster is released. Now, the central banks aren't going to tell you this, right? Because heaven forbid that you should be prepared. I mean, the central banks around the world, they've been gobbling up gold and hoarding gold for a couple of years now. The Federal Reserve has added another 50 metric tons since 2021 to their reserves. And all central banks around the world have been hoarding precious metals. And if you saw my video about, I did two videos. One on, where did all the silver go and where did all the gold go? Gold and silver has been depleted from the LME and the COMEX. Okay, last year, the year over year, the LME in London, 49.3% of the silver has left the vaults. People are taking their silver out. They're taking their gold out too. Well, if the LME has another year next year, like last year, it's gone. Those vaults are going to be empty. People are taking delivery. You have to remember that these precious metals, gold and silver, they have an inverse relationship to fiat currencies, right? So if the central banks are hoarding gold, what does that tell you about their opinion about their own currencies, which they're in charge of, defending? Okay, it's not a good sign. Look, there are all sorts of things going on around the world. A few weeks ago, the Bank of Japan, okay, they had to defend their currency by how do they defend it? And they intervened in the Forex market for the first time since 1975. And the way they intervened was by selling billions of dollars of U.S. treasuries. So all of that money is going to come flowing back to our shores. Okay, more inflation. All right, and then you had now China. China was the largest buyer of U.S. treasuries for years, but now they're not buying U.S. treasuries, and they're going to start selling U.S. treasuries because they're having severe economic issues. So again, more U.S. fiat currencies coming back to our shores. Okay. Last week, you had the Bank of England having to intervene in order to save their pension system. And the pound during that event went down to an all-time low, to 103 versus the U.S. dollar. I think since it's rebounded a little bit, the government there had to spend billions of dollars to buy their gilts. That's their version of a 30-year bond. They had to buy gilt in order to support the pension system. We have inflation right now in the U.S. at a 40-year high. That inflation rate just came out a couple of days ago. So and inflation is going to get worse. And you have to remember, all of these inflation numbers that's put up by the governments, they're bogus numbers anyway. Well, even with the bogus numbers, they're still at a 40-year high. Inflation is going to get out of control here. You have to know what's going on, and you have to be prepared. And there are ways to not only survive the chaos that's coming up, but maybe even take advantage of it, God forbid, right? now here at the Hey Ed group, that's what we're doing. We're preparing, and we're taking advantage of it. Now, I have 3 recommendations that I give to people, and I've had these recommendations for the past few months. I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice. It's just life advice between friends, okay? Just between you and me, okay? Number 1, you have to reduce your exposure to your bank. You have to do it. Because for 2 reasons. 1, your money is not safe in the bank. And 2, any money you have in fiat currencies, in our case, it's the US dollar, is a depreciating asset. Okay, that's the definition of inflation, right? Your buying power is going down. And with what's going on, inflation is only going to get worse. The Federal Reserve and all central banks, they've lost control. They're not in control anymore. The markets have taken over. Okay, the Frankenstein monster has been created, okay, and he's going to do whatever it is he wants to do. And at some point, there's going to be devastation, okay, and it's already started. We're seeing inflation rates around the world spike to all-time highs, and they're going to get worse. Any of you who do any kind of grocery shopping or put gas in your tank, you know what I'm talking about. With interest rates going up right now, year over year, the cost of buying a house has more than doubled. For the same amount of money that you had last year for your budget to service a mortgage payment, you can now afford a house for half the value that you could have last year. We've seen mortgage and refinance originations plummet. Okay, so these banks right now are in trouble. Banks are having a hard time generating profits, because how do they make profits? Through loan originations, by printing money out of thin air, right, and loaning it to people and making money off of that. Well, that is going away. And now the Federal Reserve put out a notice asking the banks, what can we do? Should we buy back some of those bonds from you to improve your liquidity? When the Federal Reserve is telling the banks that we think we should improve your liquidity, that tells you that the Federal Reserve thinks that the banks are having liquidity issues, and they are. So the banks are in trouble. We are going to see a financial crisis coming up here soon, and I think the next financial crisis is going to put the last one in 2008, 2009 to shame. It's going to be much, much worse. So you have to prepare. You don't have to be a victim in this, and you can actually, again, benefit from what's going on. So number one, reduce your exposure to the bank. Number two, put some of that money into gold and silver, which is the only actual money in the world. And number three, you got to develop streams of passive recurring income. Now, I can't help you with the first one, getting your money out of your bank. You have to do that, because a day is going to come where you're not going to be able to get your money out of the bank. So you got to do it now. It's hard enough right now to get your money out of the bank. Imagine what's going to happen when the actual crisis takes place. You're not going to be able to get your money out. Okay, and gold and silver, it's the only real money in the world. And streams of passive recurring income, okay, I can help you acquire gold and silver. I've got a program for that. It's the best one that I know. And if you contact me at my email below, I can talk to you about it. I've done some videos on it called 7K Metals. So, if you subscribe to my channel, click the videos button and look back. And you can, and I describe my favorite program for acquiring precious metals. And then I've got my favorite program for creating passive recurring income. Okay. And I'd love to have you in the Hey Ed WhatsApp group. So, if you want, shoot me an email and I'll send you a link to join the Hey Ed WhatsApp group, where we do lots of Zooms on many different topics. It doesn't cost anything, right? Also, it doesn't cost anything for you to give me a like, and maybe even put a comment in the description box. I would love to hear from you. I'm a moderate-sized channel, but a very loyal following, and we're growing every day. And I would love to hear your comments. I'd love to have you as part of the Hey Ed community. So please give this video a like, and please pay attention to what's going on out there. There are serious things going on around the world financially, and you have to prepare. Okay, Edward Anderson signing out.